Hello everyone and welcome to my channel if you are new. If you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina and full transparency here. This is my second time recording this video due to technical issues. First time I recorded it, my SD card decided to lose all of the footage. I love it when that happens, don't we all? So sorry if I don't probably seem as energetic and hyped to make this video. Bless you. And sorry for my dog. She's sneezing up a storm as soon as I turn the camera on. Nonetheless, I am very excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. This goes into my continuation of end of the year videos that I mentioned in my previous video. I will be talking about all of my anticipated releases for 2026. I have a list of books that took me a while to make, if I'm being completely honest. When I looked up books that were releasing in 2026, nothing really stood out to me. Like, minus the authors that I already know and love that are releasing next year, there are no like new books on the horizon that have like caught my interest. But when it comes to anticipated releases and making this type of video at the end of every year, I have to be conscious of the fact that we're not aware of the books that really come out in the second half of the year. Like, it's rare that books are announced like a whole year in advance. So there might be some books later on in 2026 that I would find it enjoyable. Sorry, my dog is in a playful mood. There might be some books later in the year that I might be interested in, but from what I'm seeing on like many different lists of releases for 2026, a lot of these books are coming out in the first half of the year. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the rest of the year is looking like. But these books do sound really good to me. Most of this list consists of authors I've never read from, which is always exciting. I love getting into new authors that I'm unfamiliar with. The releases next year, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit like mid about them. Like, again, minus the authors that I already know and love that are releasing. I can't really see any standouts. So the picks this year are very slim pickings, if you will. Nonetheless, I'm very excited to talk about my list. So without further ado, let's get started whenever my dog wants to calm down. First book is one you guys already know I make my whole entire personality and that I've been very excited to read for 2 years. This book I thought was coming out in 2025. I guess it's coming out in 2026. I don't think there's a release date attached to it yet, so I'm not gonna hold my breath. Heartstopper, Volume 6 by Alice Oseman. This is gonna be the final volume in the Heartstopper series, which is why, if I'm being honest, I don't mind how long it's taking to make it. Let's hold off. I'm not ready to let these characters go yet. You guys know that story, those characters, that's my family for real. And I don't want it to end, but all good things must come to an end eventually. So if that does end up releasing next year, I will be the first one in store to pick it up and read immediately. But I'm honestly in no real rush to get to that point. But the streets are saying that Alice is releasing this next year. We'll just have to see. Yeah, you guys know when it comes to Nick and Charlie, those are my babies. I love them so much. But then I also love their whole friend group. I love Tara, I love Elle, I love Tao. Like, I love all of them, and I can't wait to see how Alice Oseman wraps up everyone's story in a nice little bow. Like, it's honestly so crazy to me that it's ending. I remember when I first got into the show and the show making me want to get into the graphic novels, and the show was basically done too. Like, I think all they need to release is like a movie, oddly enough. I know, I'm so scared about how that's gonna turn out, but I think the show is basically done and they're just making a final movie to wrap everything. So I'm very excited overall to just see where that series ends up heading. Now, the next book is by an author that I have mentioned on this channel a few times. I've read one series by them, but this book that they're releasing next year has nothing to do with that series, so I'm very curious to see what this is going to be. The Case of Elmwood Ranch by Deanna Gray. Deanna Gray has written the Mendel Hawks hockey romance series, which I talked about on here. I've read Sunny Disposition, I've read Team Players, and I recently finished Safety Net, which is the latest release in that series. And next year she's releasing something completely outside of that, which I'm okay with, because Deanna Gray has slowly started to rise as like one of my favorite contemporary romance authors. I just think that's the way that she writes. It's just so feel good, and the characters are relatable, and the stories are usually fun. This one though, it's a paranormal romance, and I've never really read much of those before. I think the only like paranormal romance I guess you could say I've read is Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I really liked that, but I've never read anything having to do with ghost, which is what this story is about. Basically, there are two characters that we're following, the two love interests. I can't remember their names right now off the top of my head, but one of them owns a horse ranch, and she notices some things in the horse ranch that makes it seem like there's a ghost there or something, but she needs to get this ranch up and running because she, I guess, inherited it or bought it and put all of her life savings into it, and so she just wants to make sure that everything's gonna go well before she opens it up. But before that, she does end up hiring a, I guess, ghost detective, which is who the other love interest is, and the two of them are going to get to the root of this case and figure out what the heck is going on Elmwood Ranch. Sounds fun, sounds good, sounds cozy-ish. I know Deanna Gray has had her fair share in sapphic romances. I know that she's written one other one that I have not read. I think that one's called Outdrawn, I'm pretty sure. I am familiar with Deanna Gray's game, okay? But I think this is gonna be the first time that I will read a sapphic romance from her, which, again, so excited about. If it's anything like the Mendel Hawk series in the way that she writes romance, obviously a little bit different because those are sports romances and this is a paranormal romance, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm hoping to find like the same lovable characters and like the same layered character dynamics that she usually tends to write in all of her romances. I think that would be fun. Now, the next book is one by an author that I'm actually currently reading right now due to one of her books being one of the books I want to finish before the end of the year. I'm in the middle of reading one of her books right now, so the fact that she's on this list, it's making me really giddy. I'm so sorry. In Her Own League by Liz Tomford. Now, y'all know I don't play about Miss Liz. Y'all know I'm very serious about this woman and her books. Ever since I started the Windy City series by Liz Tomford, I have just dedicated myself to reading whatever she's gonna put out from here on out. I'm very much in this whatever she's writing. I don't really know what this is about, if I'm being honest. It's not a part of the Windy City series. That is complete. I'm reading the last book right now. Guys, it's so good. In Her Own League, I think it follows characters we already know, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, this is following Monty. And if you've read the Windy City series, Monty is one of the characters' dads. So very excited for that. He's known as like the hot dad coach for the MLB. So like we saw Monty in, I think, Kai's book and Isaiah Rhodes, the two baseball players. Monty is their coach. So we're following him and his, I guess, enemies to lovers budding romance with the woman that we meet in Kai's book. This woman, she is the head of the MLB. She inherited it from her father, who is stepping down from the position, and she is now in the role as the person who's running the team, I guess. I don't know, but I saw some tension with them in both of those books, and I didn't know if I was just going crazy or what, but I'm glad that Miss Liz Tomford is feeding into my delusions. Those two are getting somewhat of a romance, and I'm so excited for whatever that's going to be. I'm very much stoked. Like I said, I love Liz Tomford. I love her writing. I love the found family that is in the Windy City series. I can't let them go. I have 30% of Rewind It Back left, so I'm not gonna lie, if she wants to send me an arc, I will gladly take it, because I feel like after I'm finished with this book, I'm gonna have withdrawals. But yeah, In Her Own League sounds promising. I have nothing really to say about it other than I'm down. It sounds like it's gonna be another workplace relationship, which Liz Tomford has done before, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Play Along counts as a workplace romance. She's written one before, but I feel like with this one, it could be interesting because, like, I think it's age gap. I'm pretty sure it's age gap, which could be tea. It could be so good. We all should have known Liz Tomford was going to be on this list. There are going to be some familiar names in here that I've been geeking over all year long that I'm sure you guys are not going to be surprised about. But I just had to get her out of the way because, come on now. Now, the next one is a book that, again, I have some very high expectations for because I've been following this author for years, and they're finally putting out their debut novel, which again, this is another book that I will be rushing to the bookstore first person in line ready to buy, simply because of how long I've been supporting this author and I feel like their writing could be promising. I will be reading The Secret World of Briar Rose by Cindy Pham. Oh, Cindy Pham, it's Cindy. Hi, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but I have been a watcher of Cindy's YouTube channel for a long time. If you guys are not aware, Cindy is a fellow booktuber on this platform, and she's, I guess you could say, been running the game for a while. Like, she's been on here for a very, very long time. When I found out she was going to be releasing her own spin on Sleeping Beauty, a sapphic Sleeping Beauty, but have the story feel more introspective, I'm gnawing at the bars of my enclosure. Give it to me now. Give it to me now. I need that in hand. Maybe it's just because I have been following her YouTube channel for years and I've seen her critique other authors and their writing and talk about her own writing processes over the years. I just feel like this book is going to be one of the highlights of my year. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone. I don't think it's a series. I feel like this one book might change the trajectory of my life. There's a lot of bias here, obviously. Take this with a grain of salt. But also, I don't know, doesn't that sound fun? Like sapphic Sleeping Beauty. I don't know. I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the cover is really doing it for me. I saw that cover and I was like, gag. I stopped at the sight of the cover's beauty. Gorgeous gowns, gorgeous gowns, and yeah, I'm very excited about it. I watched Cindy's video where like she talked about the creative process of making this book and how much it took out of her to make, and how she's very excited to put it out. And honestly, when I see authors excited to release their books, whether it be like their debut novel or like their 10th or 100th book, it just makes me more excited to read it. So yeah, this is up there. I, again, can't remember when it comes out. I think it does come out in like the first half of the year though. Now, the next book is one that I'm reading, again, because of a lot of excitement. Not from the author, excitement from a publisher. A few months ago, I think I mentioned this, I met up with a group of publishers from many different publishing houses, and they were telling me about some releases that are going to be put out next year that they are really excited about, and just breaking them down for me. But one of the books that really stuck out to me that they were talking about was Yesteryear by Carl Claire Burke. I think it was Penguin Random House Publishing described this book to me. I was like, that sounds weird. Sign me up. This book follows our main character. I can't remember her name. She lives on a ranch by herself and she is an influencer. She posts about her trad lifestyle, and you know, she's just doing it to make ends meet. She's not really that passionate about it, but she does do it in her day-to-day life. It's not even like a natural trad lifestyle, it's more so like a curated one to bring people back to her page. You guys already know how that goes, algorithm and all that, social media influencing, you guys already get the picture. So tell me why, as this person was describing the plot to me, the one thing that stuck out was this main character somehow gets sent back to 1855 and needs to figure out what the heck is going on. She doesn't know if someone's trying to prank her. Like, is this a reality show that she's got signed up for that she had no idea? Is she like in Back to the Future? Like, how, like, she doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know if this is real or not. She doesn't know if she's dreaming. She just knows that she needs to get back home because she has responsibilities. And yeah, I guess while she's stuck in this timeline, she's realizing that there's something more sinister afoot than a possible reality show that she's stuck on. So I know that probably sounds like a whole bunch of nothing to you, but again, the thing that sold me was this person's excitement talking about this book. This person, I feel bad, I cannot remember her name, but the way she described it, that was like the best read she had all year. The best read. And the way that I take in that information is, okay, I hear you. Let me add that to a list. So that's what I did, and that's why I'm telling you about it today. I know that this book also got signed to MGM. I think it's getting made into a movie with, dare I say, Anne Hathaway? Could be wrong, but I remember Anne Hathaway getting brought up. Yeah, that's fun. I love a good book to movie adaptation, but I would like to get to the book first, especially if there's like this much excitement when it comes to it. Like, I don't know, I like seeing people happy about books, and something like this could be fun. I don't know if that's the right word I would use, but fun, question mark. I will keep a lookout for that. I feel like everyone should. I think it's gonna be one of those like bestsellers that sneak up on us when it comes to like the popularity of it. Alrighty, next book is one by an author, again, I don't know. But I was, again, looking through a lot of book lists for books that are releasing next year, and this one really stood out to me, and again, sounds very much like a bunch of nothing if you read the synopsis, but I don't know, it stuck out to me. So I will be reading So Old, So Young by Grant Gender? I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name right, and I'm sorry if I'm not, but So Old, So Young. From what I know, this follows 6 different friends over the span of like 20 years. The timeline that we meet them in is at different parties in their lives. So it could be like a birthday party, a wedding party, a graduation party. We're just gathering with this like friend group over the span of 20 years just at parties where they meet up at. We don't really see their lives outside of the parties, and something about that sounds really fun and messy to me. I don't know, I'm just really in the mood to read books about friendship and the power of friendship. I don't know, something about that is just really reflective of my own life, because I'm going through a lot with my friendships right now, and I like reading books about how platonic love is just as important as romantic love, if not more important. And I think this book will give me that, just from the basic synopsis I read alone. Literally what I told you is all I know and can remember. Again, this is me recording this video for the second time. It's been over a week since I recorded it the first time, so I can't really remember word for word what the synopsis is, but that's from what I remember it. And yeah, I'm really open to just getting into more like literary fiction next year. I think after reading like all of the classics that I've read this year, I've realized that that's a genre that I am interested in, because a lot of classics tend to fall under lit fic. And again, I've never read anything from this author, so it's always fun to go into an author without really knowing what it's gonna be. I don't know if this is their debut novel either. I know Yesteryear is Carl Clare Burke's first novel. I don't know if So Old, So Young is Grant Ginder's. Very exciting stuff. Next author on here is one that I've also not read from. So like I said, it's going to be a pattern of authors in the year of 2026 that I have not read from that I'm open to reading next year. Where the Wildflowers Grow by Tara Shelton Harris. I, again, just aimlessly scrolling through book lists, trying to figure out what actually interests me in the year 2026 and what my reading is looking like in 2026, and this book popped up and I was immediately just stunned by the cover. A black girl laying in a field of flowers. I'll read your synopsis, why not? And all that to say, the synopsis in the end did end up winning me over. So let's talk about it. Where the Wildflowers Grow is about a girl who is an inmate, and she is the last in her family to survive a very tragic accident. I guess she's in jail for it. And while she's on the prison bus going back to the prison, that prison bus gets into an accident and she is the last one to survive that accident as well. And this prison bus gets into an accident in the middle of literally nowhere. She has no idea where she is at, and so she aimlessly ends up walking and finds herself at some kind of farm, cottage place, I'm not really sure, but there she meets a family who takes her in after saying that she is lost and needs help, and through that family she learns how to feel love again for herself and for others, and to forgive herself for acts that she has committed before. She feels a lot of healing through this family, and I know that there's a little bit of romance in it, but the thing that I think I wanted to read about the most was the self-healing journey that this character goes through. Something about that just really caught my attention immediately. And then obviously when she's at this cottage, she realizes that stuff isn't as easy as it seems. It's not so black and white, and she needs to figure out what forgiving herself actually means in the grand scheme of things, of what she's done and how her past comes back to haunt her, and yada yada yada. You guys get the picture. Another book about self-reflection and forgiveness, and I think that's something that I would like to read in 2026. The past year or so has been a learning curve for me when it comes to what I read and how I like to dissect my reading and what I want from books nowadays. I like to learn from books. I think we should all strive to learn from the books that we read. But lately, I haven't been feeling that. And again, from the classics I've read, I've realized that a lot of what I'm looking for is from literary fiction. I don't really need all of the extra like soapy tropes that I get from romances. I don't really need the big quests or adventures from fantasies. Sometimes I just need a character who's got a past and just wants to reflect on that past and learn from it in the most mundane life possible. Sometimes that's all it takes for me to really enjoy a book nowadays. And I think that this book, again, could give me that. It feels like something that would possibly make me get emotionally invested. So that's also fun. Yeah, I saw the cover and I immediately was like, I need to read this. And then I read the synopsis and I was like, you know what? This could be fun for 2026. Again, it seems like a really dark story though. So fun might not be the right word, but for lack of a better word, I think I could have fun with many of the books in this list, including this one. Speaking of fantasies, there is one fantasy that caught my eye in 2026, which is so interesting to me because you guys know I'm a fantasy reader through and through. I love me some fantasy, but none of the books in 2026 was calling to me. And then that's when I realized maybe fiction is just where I'm gonna end up moving forward in my reading journey. But there was, again, one fantasy that caught my eye that I do want to get my hands on. The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. There's only so many ways that you can make a fantasy interesting for me nowadays. I feel like a lot of like the true entire tropes of like the chosen one mixed with like maybe a little romantasy with like a love triangle and an adventurous quest. Those are all fun, but I would like something new. And from what I read in the synopsis, it's giving me something that I've never really seen before, and maybe in like one other book, but I haven't really seen anything like this one. This standalone book follows the character Wei Yin, and she is very poor. Her and her family, they are trying to make ends meet, but they are not having that much luck. So Wei Yin signs up to be a concubine for the prince of the village she lives in, and he is not a good person. Very evil. Terrible. Also, terrible leader, terrible dictator. And she realizes that while she is there, she needs to take this man down because he is the reason, him and his family are the reason why all of this is happening. There is so much inhumanity that is present in the world that she's living in because of the way that the world is ran by these people. So she wants to basically infiltrate that palace and take them down one by one. However, the only way she can do that is if she learns the magic that they have, which is basically through poetry. Poetry is a form of magic in this world that only men know. Women are not allowed to use it. So when she's in the castle, she uses whatever resources she has to illegally learn how to use this magic against the royal empire. And doesn't that just sound really cool? I don't know. Usually, like I said, the same old tropes in fantasy, you already know what you're getting into, but with this one, the magic system sounds really cool to me, because what do you mean poetry is a form of magic that you have to learn? I want to know what the author is going to do with that. There's only one other book that reminds me of this, is maybe Babel by R.F. Kuang, and that book barely. Like, the only reason I say that they're similar in any way is because Babel deals with a lot of linguistics as the form of magic, and how different languages can affect the way a spell is cast and the way you write it and all of this other stuff. Okay, that's the only reason why it gives a similar vibe, but even then it's not similar. I just haven't heard of a form of writing like poetry be used as a way to cast a spell. It just sounds really cool to me. And again, like I said, not a lot of the fantasies stuck out this year for me for 2026. So anything as small as like a magic system like that could easily make my head turn, I think. And again, it helps that it is also a standalone. Yeah, this one I did look into because I was like, do I have it in me to get into another fantasy series this year after seeing all of the ones I have to get to on my shelf? No, but I did look into it. It is a standalone, so it's a one and done deal. I'm really hoping I like it. And I think this is another debut novel. So very exciting, very, very exciting. The next book is one by an author, again, I have never read from, and it is another fiction book, Love by the Book by Jessica George. This book, just like the other fictional books that I mentioned before, touches on how platonic love is really important. This book follows two women at very low points in their lives that end up meeting each other, crossing paths randomly, and just becoming friends. And it follows their friendship throughout the years and how their friendship stands the test of time and tribulations and all of this stuff that they go through throughout their lives, whether that be like their careers, their romantic partners, their family problems, how their friendship can withstand all of that. I don't know, it was kind of giving So Old, So Young to me, but different, because this one just follows two women, whereas I think that one follows men and women in their friendships together. I don't know, something about like womanhood and the friendships that you gain from womanhood and girlhood, those kind of stories really stand out to me like so much, and this one did as well, obviously, and I really want to read it. Yeah, it's described as a love story, but not a romantic one. And I just think that's beautiful. I also think that books that follow women and their journeys of friendship and what that means to withstand a friendship over time, no one really ever wants to talk about that. Like, how much effort you have to put into a relationship is just as much, if not more, than putting into a romantic relationship. And it just comes from pure, unadulterated, unfiltered love for someone. And I've loved reading books about that over the past few years. And I think I will enjoy it just as much next year, like I said. Also, I know that like one of the biggest things from this book is that the two main characters find their friendship together like at a bookstore through books, which I also think is just really touching and really cute. I don't know, everything about this book has just like been on my mind for the past few weeks since I found out that it was coming out. I think it comes out April 7th. Now, the last book on this list, well, I guess the last books are honorary mentions, because like I said, there are authors that are releasing next year that you guys already know I'm gonna pull up for, so let's get them out of the way right here, right now. Tia Williams is releasing a new book next year, I think during the summertime. I don't really know much about it because there's not much out about it. Missed Connection comes out next summer, and I'm pretty sure it follows our main character, whose name is Sasha, I believe. She is a casting agent. She has flown all over the world to cast people in projects, a lot of romantic films. So she knows all about her fair share of romance. Though she does not really do romance in her own life, she's not into getting into a relationship. She very much likes her own independence, and she does not mind that men are intimidated by her, so she just doesn't even really push it. But on one of the flights that she's on, she does meet what she believes to be is her soulmate, and before the flight ends, they don't end up exchanging information like phone numbers or anything. So she is on a mission to find this man, the guy who was in seat F next to her on the plane, and she hires a detective to help her find this man, and this detective is very suave and interesting. You can already see where this book is going, and yeah, I will literally read whatever Tia Williams puts out. I'm gonna be honest though, nothing about that plot really drew me in, so I'm hoping I can trust her when it comes to whatever this is going to be. I don't know if this is going to be categorized as a fiction or a romance, if I'm being honest. It sounds like a romance, but I don't know. Next book is Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan is releasing a new book in 2026 that is a part of a series that I did not know was a series. I own the first book of this series, but I have not read it. So when she puts out that sequel, hopefully by then I will have read it. But until then, but it is on my anticipated releases just in case I do get around to it. Score by Kennedy Ryan. This is the sequel to the Hollywood Renaissance series. Again, I had no idea this was a series. You guys know I recently bought Real by Kennedy Ryan. I guess this is the first book in that series, and she's putting out the second one next year, so that's always fun. However, as you guys know, Miss Kennedy Ryan loves a good companion novel, so you don't need to read the books in order to understand what's going on. But knowing me, of course I'm gonna read the books in order. So I'm gonna try to get to this one before getting to Score, but we will just have to see, won't we? Yeah, when she announced that, I was like, oh, okay, I had no idea this was happening. I will prepare myself accordingly. But yeah, those are all of the books that I would like to read next year in 2026. Like I said, I hope that there's more to look forward to as the year goes on and more authors announce books within the new year, because based off of the list that I've been seeing, nothing's really grabbing my attention, which is really upsetting. But maybe it's just because like I'm looking for things that I'm not in the mood for, or just like don't particularly spark my interest anymore. And if that is the case, that's going to make me really sad because I've looked at genres that I specifically am used to reading. So maybe that's just me not like being completely 100% comfortable getting out of my comfort zone. But I don't know, I expected to find a lot more books that I would like to read next year, and sadly there were not that many. But let me know, you guys, if you have any anticipated releases for 2026, because like I said, it's been a letdown, which is surprising because I feel like there were a lot of books for 2025 that I could not wait to read. Like if you looked at my last year's video for anticipated releases for 2025, I was over the moon, so excited, couldn't wait to get to those. And for these, I'm kind of just like, well, they're gonna come out and I'll read them whenever. Yeah, that's like kind of saddening me a bit, but who knows, maybe I'll be more excited when they come out. Let me know what your anticipated releases for 2026 are, or if you got to your anticipated releases for 2025. If you did, let me know. I'm so curious. And yeah, that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.